Hello, everyone. Hi, Maliha. Hi. So we're doing this new moon live as we've gotten accustomed. Yeah, every new moon, every full moon. Hi, Collins. Hey, guys. I'm always surprised that you guys are here. I am trying to light a candle, but I have very cheap, tiny matches that keep breaking off. So let's see. Maybe I'm lucky now. Oh my God. This is a mission impossible. Hi, I'm Judd. How are you guys doing? I hope you're not feeling sick because this is the season of colds and illnesses. I managed to get over mine because, as you guys know, the last time when I went live, I was really sick and I was not in the best of moods, but now I'm feeling so much better. Um, so please share with me how you guys are feeling. How are you doing? Also, get ready to think of questions that you would like to ask me because in this session today, Maliha, how have you been? It's been a long time since I have been in your live. Oh, sweetie, that's okay. If you missed the lives, they are always recorded. So you can go back and rewatch them if you feel like it, if you want to hang out with us, And there's no problem because I do them with more regularity. So I do 2 lives each month. So you have the opportunity. If you missed one, you can join at the other one. So every full moon and every new moon, think of my channel and try to tune back in here. Maybe we're doing a live. If something happens, I'm going to let you guys know. So I'm trying to light this candle. Okay. I received this really beautiful candle from Dora. Dora is a subscriber and it smells very nicely. It smells very delicately like fresh white flowers in spring. Very beautiful. But I can't seem to light up my matches because this is really bad matches design. I mean, I'm worried about the people who created these matches. I'm pretty sure that they're not paid well. I'm never buying these again. Oh my goodness. I used to have a lighter, but my lighter fluid was consumed. So um, I keep thinking what else I could do because that's the only thing I have. Do you guys know there was this story? Maybe it fits for the new moon and Scorpio energy, but there was the story when I was little. I was very fortunate that oh my God, I have a very Gemini ADHD brain at the moment, but I am just noticing that on the window right behind the screen is it's a little ladybug. And you know, when ladybugs fly into the room, it's a sign of good luck. That means abundance is coming into your life. So, God bless. I love ladybugs. I love them so much. And we've been having a lot of them because I live across the road from a park, and the park has been booming with them since the month of May. And I was reading somewhere that if you get a lot of ladybugs in a park or in an environment, that is a sign that the ecosystem in that environment is very healthy. Because apparently they cannot survive or thrive in an environment that is toxic. And I was walking, I take daily walks around the park, and you can actually see that the water in the lake, it used to be very filthy looking, but now you can actually see the bottom of the lake. It's so clear, and there are ducks on top of the lake, and it's a very healthy ecosystem, so maybe it has something to do with that. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that when I was little, I was fortunate because my grandmother would read me fairy tales, and I used to read a lot of them in school as well. And there was a story that really impressed me. It was the story of the girl with the matchsticks. If you guys know it, I think it was by Hans Christian Andersen. I used to read a lot of the Grimm brothers fairy tales and Hans Christian Andersen. They were quite popular. Um, I think it was also Selma Lagerlöf. We used to read like a lot of Nordic Nordic writers. No wonder that I ended up traveling and like spending a lot of my life working in Sweden and Germany, because ever since I was small, it's like my unconscious mind was primed with all of these fairy tales taking place in foreign countries. Anyway, And the story was about a little girl that was on the streets, and she was very poor, and it was Christmas time. And I think she sees a family. It was like a very, very sad story, because she sees a family inside of a warm, cozy home, and she looks at herself by comparison, and she is cold and tired and hungry, and she doesn't have a family. She's all alone in the world. And I think she finds a box of matches in a dumpster or in a trash can. And there are kind of like just a couple of matches left, but she uses them to try to warm herself up because it was a very cold winter. And like every time when she lights a match, she remembers something from her past until she finally lights the last match. She remembers something from her past, and then the match extinguishes, and I believe that she dies near the church door or someplace. Like she managed to crawl to a church door or something. And it it's such a horrible tale. It's like there's no light, there's no I don't know, there's no hope. I think the only hope was that she keeps trying to keep herself alive by thinking of the past, by trying to overcome present adversity, by trying to uh, find the warmth of her memories, I would say. But it reminded me right now, because I'm struggling with these bloody matches, and it's just not lighting up. There's a lot of humidity. Cindy, please share the story with us. Yeah, I think the story is very sad, so I'm reluctant to tell people about the story, but it's one of those stories that whenever I would hear it when I was a child, I would instantly start crying, and it would touch upon some of my darkest fears, which was the fear of being destitute, being thrown out of the house. I was worried when I was a kid that my mother, who was a very angry mother, she would just one day decide, you know what, get the fuck out, and then I would be a child, and God knows what would happen to me on the streets of Bucharest. And um, yeah, when I read that story, I was just like empathizing so much with the little girl. And there was another story from a Romanian storyteller. It was called Cănuță om sucit. It was, I think you can translate the title as um, Little Cup Twisted Man. It sounds like a weird internet video, but it's not. It was about a man living in a village, and he was disabled. He was mentally challenged. He wasn't the brightest person in the village, and it was about how he was handling relationships and how people were treating him. And it's a very sad story. And these two stories, like whenever I would hear them, I would just cry, and I was so afraid, because I was like, how can you be so vulnerable, like in society? How can people that are so vulnerable, how can they exist in this world, And I think it made me, like, from a very young age, I was really passionate about how can we help people like this. I was so touched in my little child's heart that I grew up fascinated by people who live on the outskirts of society, rebels, people who have mental health problems. I was always interested in, it's amazing that they can live in this world, and I always wanted to think of ways in which we can make their lives a little bit better or more bearable. So that's why I think I chose to study sociology and psychotherapy, and I was always curious about these things. And coincidentally, because I do have a point, as always, my talks do have a point, although they seem all over the place. This is the energy of Scorpio, right? Scorpio and Scorpio season, Scorpio born individuals, they are healers. They are born to heal, they are born to transform the darkness into light. That's why they can be excellent doctors, um, psychologists, criminal investigators, right? So they're meant to catch the bad guy. They're meant to repair people, right? And they're doing this in very intense ways. Like, I think one of the first surgeon that carefully conducted a heart transplant that worked, I think he was a Scorpio Sun. It was Dr. Christian, I forgot the family name, but he was in South Africa. And it's all about, it's about intensity, because you work under pressure when you're a doctor trying to save somebody's life, or when you're investigating a serial killer, right? It's pressure. It's you hear a lot of awful things, right? You have to deal with so much darkness. Or when you're a psychotherapist as well, you never know what kind of clients you get. You never know what kind of relationships they establish with them. And a lot of broken people come to you, people that have been disappointed and betrayed by other relationships in their life. They come to you as an example of a healthy relationship that could save them, right? So it is a lot of pressure, it is a lot of responsibility, but that's the beauty of Scorpio energy. It shows us that there is something precious to be found when we delve in the filth, when we delve in the darker aspects of the human existence, of the human nature, of the human mind, of the human soul. And that's the beautiful energy, because Scorpio is about what exists in our life once everything is torn apart, it's shed to its barest bones. Because if you look at nature right now, it's that really weird period in between Christmas, when it's that time of renewal, and in the coldness of winter, we get to organize like Christmas markets, and we get to decorate everything and light up fires, right? And be generous with each other. That's Sagittarius vibe. We're going to talk about that next week. Sorry, 2 weeks from now. But Scorpio season, it's that weird energy in between when nature is dying off. Things are becoming quite ugly, right? The weather turns bad. There is a constant fog. There is a constant feeling of damp, moldiness, appears. So you have to be careful to air out your houses. And it is about decay, it is about rot, it is about mulch, and it is about the transformation of something beautiful into something that looks ugly. But that ugliness is actually just another stage of existence. It's an ugliness that can be further enhanced, it can be useful, because anything that is rotting and decaying, it's just creating a fertile bedding soil for something else to be born, right? Without decaying leaves, without rotting fruits, we wouldn't have fresh plants in the springtime. We need that rot, we need that decay. So Scorpio is about the uglier side of life. It's about it's not about beautiful things, right? It's exactly the opposite of Taurus season and the month of, ending of April, beginning of May, when nature is like on steroids, it's like exploding with flowers and scents, and everything is green and colorful, and the weather becomes milder, and it's preparing the ground for bounty of summer. Scorpio is exactly the opposite. It's about like, let's let's tear everything apart, let's destroy, let's strip everything down. And you can see this as well in the temperament of Scorpios, right? If you are an unevolved Scorpionic, if you're a Plutonic, so if you're ruled by Pluto, you have Pluto in the first house, for example, or an ascendant in Scorpio, and you are not aiming for the transformation that leads you towards the light, if you're not doing something with that darkness that you naturally feel drawn towards, if you're not aiming to heal and to transform for the better your life conditions and the people around you, then you become darkness itself. You become the decay, you become the rot, right? So that's why this sign has a very extreme number of individuals. It has some of the most magnetic and sexy creators, like actors, actresses, singers, dancers, performers, some of the more interesting and fascinating artists, poets. But at the same time, it can have serial killers, it can have all sorts of deranged, depraved individuals in society. And it can also create something in between, because not everybody lives at such extremes. Either you're a rock star or you're a serial killer. scorpionic energy that is unevolved can also create, uh, like obsessive romantic partners, like in a common everyday mentality, it's those partners that constantly test you, and they never trust you, and they always accuse you of doing awful things. So it's a living daily hell to be with them, because it's like, can't you just back off and just let's enjoy this relationship, or it can create individuals that are very attractive, but they are afraid of intimacy. So it's that beautiful person that you're obsessed with, but you can never have, because they just come in and out of your life, without sticking too long. So from that point of view, Scorpio energy can be very negative. Ah, I was very close to lighting it. Okay. I am not going to give up. Okay. By the end of this live stream, I will have lit this candle. It's really testing my wrist game. Oh man, they are so bad that I don't know if you guys can see, but look, even I forgot how you call this. What is do you guys remember what is the thing that we have on matches? Somebody saying that their North Node is in the 8th house. Matches are made up of, give me a second, guys, because I'm having um, like the worst case of information fog, because I'm blaming it on Mercury retrograde, of course. Is it sulfur? No, it's not sulfur. Phosphor, yeah. There we go. So the phosphor is completely eaten up. I really would like to light a candle, because lighting something, warming the atmosphere, it's really good. Ah! It's unbelievable. Sasha is saying, one of the most resonant tarot readers ever. I love you and I thank you. You are so kind. Thank you so much for the beautiful compliment. It really means so much to me. The readings that I'm creating in this period, of course, there are not as many as in the last month, because I've been going through therapy, and my analyst, who is also a Scorpio Sun, so she's a wonderful healer to have. She's been working with me related to my own process of accepting grief, because I went into a grieving process after the death of my father, which happened in May this year. And then I felt like I stopped it. And she's kind of like telling me, or reminding me, better said, that, you should just allow yourself to grieve. It's better to grieve at the moment. So I'm kind of taking some time off for myself. So that's why I'm not posting as often. But the readings that I'm creating in this period are readings that are inspired by your suggestions, guys. Yeah. I'm really frustrated that I cannot light up this candle, but let's see. I'm going to try again. Just like in the story with the girl with matches. Yeah. This is unbelievable. Come on, crew, pray for me. Pray for me. You know what this reminds me of again? Have you guys seen The Fifth Element? That movie by Luc Besson with Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich? Um, when they're trying to light up the elements at the end, so that they are saving the world from complete utter darkness coming from outer space, they're looking for the final thing to light up the last element. And I think it was Ruby Rod who said, "Corbin, man, I have one match." And he lights up the match, and then everybody's like holding their breath not to destroy the light. And it reminds me of that scene. But can you imagine what would have happened if Corbin would not have been able to light that match? I really like, this would be such a bad, I'm making such a bad commercial for these matches, but they are ah, there was a little flame. Ah, like, look at this is just Ah! Live stream Hall of Fame, um, fail Hall of Fame, Hall of Fail. Oh my God. These are just I'm not able to light this up, but let's see. Let's be positive. I will light this up. I will light this up. No, I think I should just admit defeat. We're just gonna have readings without light. Malika is like, let us pray so Lexi can light the match. Please, please, God, please, angels, help me light this match. Like, how can you do it when the moment when I try to scratch, this happens? It's like butter. It's like butter. This phosphor is so low quality. Who made these? Let's see. This is child's labor. Honestly, look at this. So it says it's these are matches supplied by one of the biggest supermarket chains in Romania. And it says over here, made in India and imported by a company here in Romania. But can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like I'm sure these were made in some really dingy sweatshops. It's the first time I'm using them, and I only bought them very quickly as I was trying to leave the store because I suddenly remember I don't have matches, and they didn't have the brand I'm normally using. And I was like, yeah, sure, okay. But I made a mistake. I'm never buying these again. This is awful. Absolutely awful. Like the carton is completely destroyed from me trying to light them up. Look at this. And the phosphorus is completely melting. But anyway, you're not here for product testing with Lexi. I am just really in the need of some light. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Please think of the questions you would like to ask me, okay? While I am doing this, because we are challenged. We are challenged from all directions. Oh my God. Thank you, Saturn and Pisces, you motherfucker. Anyway. Ah! So close. So. You guys saw that, right? I am so close to it. This is unbelievable. You know how some people light it in this way? I'm gonna try that. My grandpa used to do that. I don't know why. Let's try it. No, it's the same. I'm filling myself with so much phosphorus. I'm gonna set myself on fire accidentally. Ah, it's just unbelievable. And I keep thinking of alternatives, but I do not have a gas stove in the house. I only have an electric stove. I don't have a lighter because my lighter fluid was consumed. So I don't know. I hope that maybe just through the power of prayer. Oh, I'm really, really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. It's like little things like this one, are the things that really make the work so much more difficult. And it's been a marathon of these tiny things no longer working and me just having to push through. I think there was a French saying that if you want to wish your enemy, like if you want to really irritate your enemy and cause damage to him or her, what you should do is not really curse them and say, I hope you die or rot in hell. You should wish upon them that tiny little things happen to them each day that irritate them and make their life a living hell. Like, I wish that you get constant paper cuts every time you touch paper. Or I wish that you are never able to flush your toilet. Or I wish that every time you see a dog, the dog would bark at you. Things like that, just tiny little things that when they add up in the span of a day, they make you feel like the day was a living nightmare. So yeah, just in case you want to You guys, you guys, you guys, we did it. Oh, hallelujah. Oh, okay. Try not to breathe a sigh of relief into the candle itself. I was literally down to my last two. Yeah, these are the last two. I have nothing left in the bag. The last two. Yeah. Yes. Moral of the story: never buy cheap matches from your local supermarket chain. Okay, because chances are they were produced by children in a sweatshop in India. Um, and chances are that they're not going to work. And the other moral of the story is never give up. Just try and try and try until you light the motherfucker up. So, this being said, welcome to the actual portion of the live stream that makes sense to you guys after you watched me struggle with light. So, let's see. I'm going to pull an overall card for us to see what is the goddess that is guiding over our reading. So, just overall general message, what goddess wants to come out for us? That was a good idea. Why didn't I read this comment before? Cindy says, can you try lighting two at the same time? Ah, okay, okay. You've got an abundance mindset, Cindy. Hold on to it. That's really good. Okay, so guys, look at this. We got the goddess Hlin, and she's the goddess of support. So she is here to give us some support because she sees that we're struggling. She literally saw me struggling with the matches. And let's just read a little bit about Hlin, who she is, because I'm not very familiar with her. She's a Nordic goddess, and I'm sure that some of you may not be familiar with her either. So, of the various handmaidens that served the Nord goddess Frigg, only Hlin is mentioned more than any. Known as the Shield, Hlin protects all innocent individuals from harm and is especially vigilant when it comes to women in crisis. I was in crisis earlier. Her efforts are meant not only to safeguard one from physical violence, but also from spiritual and mental distress. Within the Norse text, the name Hlin can be translated in English as help or refuge, even inspiring the expression Hleinir or peace and quiet. With shield always in hand, the goddess of consolation and protection faithfully stands guard over all who are in need of solace. Okay, guys, so if you're struggling at the moment, if you need some help or support, call upon the goddess Hlin. She is literally the shield of goddess Frigg, right? So Hlin asks you to stand behind her so she may shield you with the power of support. Obstacles come in a multitude of forms, and we can often feel alone in overcoming them. This can easily evolve into a struggle that is worsened by our pride or sense of worthiness. Flynn has stepped forward on your behalf to help you see that the universe is now in full support of you. This can come in the form of arbitrary coincidences, a close friend, or even a complete stranger. Now is the time to be receptive and allow yourself to be fully supported as the problem at hand becomes truly temporary when the divine intervenes. So if you've been struggling to do something, yeah, I feel like you shouldn't give up, but what you may want to do is call upon God for support. That is the higher vibration of this awful Saturn conjunct Neptune energy that we're having at the moment. Because as you guys know, Saturn and Neptune are back into Pisces. They were not together anymore in the sign of Pisces, but they were in the sign of Aries throughout the summer. And I think that if you compare the summer to this portion of the year and the beginning portion of the year, you find that there are very two different energies. At least I'm personally feeling like this. So let me know in the comments how you guys are doing. Okay, so we have Goddess Lynn to support us. And the overall energy of the Scorpio new moon, what energy is the Scorpio new moon bringing into our lives? And I'm pulling a card from the Dream Ritual Oracle deck. Let me just drink a bit of water because I think, wow, I may have accidentally ingested some of the phosphor that was flying about. So let's see one final general card before we dive into the personal readings. Okay, so let's see. Beautiful. I don't know what is going on in this live stream, guys, but I feel like everything is against me. First, I couldn't light the candle. Now I'm losing my voice. Okay, no, we're gonna persevere. So we have here purpose, yeah? And you see that this clock resembles the clock from Salvador Dali's paintings. By the way, Salvador Dali, the great artist, he was a Taurus, and Picasso, another great Spanish artist, he was a Scorpio. So it's interesting, right? Picasso and Dali, some of the most famous known artists, are born in opposite signs. So this looks a bit like a caramel cake, like creme brulee. Why am I doing this? You see the image that I'm seeing here in a mirror. So I constantly have to move my hands and the cards in a completely opposite mirror take. So the sense of purpose is about the way in which we give meaning to our life. It is about what helps us get out of bed in the morning when other things are missing. Um, it's interesting because sometimes I was thinking, I used to get up in the morning in a period when I was feeling quite well and things were quite stable in my life. I used to get up in the morning to eat a very nutritious breakfast. And sometimes it would just be the fact that I'm waking up in the morning to eat my nutritious breakfast. It was enough for me to help me have a great start to the day. Then situations changed in my life, of course, and my daily routine changed. And a while I couldn't eat in the morning. I could only drink some coffee. Um, Now I'm going through a period in my life in which I'm no longer waking up in the morning. I tend to sleep through the mornings, and I'm very active throughout the majority of the night because I love how quiet nighttime is. So I tend to go to bed at around 5 in the morning and wake up around 12 noon or something like that. Um, some people will tell you that doing things like that may not be healthy, but I am increasingly of the opinion as I'm growing older and I'm learning a lot about things that you really need to do what you feel compelled to do. And for me, in the last weeks, mornings have been incredibly stressful. And I've been trying to wake up properly at the right hour. And I was just a bundle of nerves by the end of the day. And I felt the pull towards spending time awake at night. I have a lot of books to read. I have a lot of assignments to prepare. I have the time and the space to do this. And then I pulled a card from the Into the Solitary Woods Oracle, and that card actually said, um, "Get to know your night self." And it was about making time in your life to be awake at nighttime. And there's also a spiritual path, like in the spiritual development of a human being. Rudolf Steiner talks about this. And he does say that there will come a portion in your spiritual journey in which you're going to have to be awake at nighttime, whether it is because a family member gets born and you have to wake up with the baby and feed the baby at nighttime, whether it is because you suddenly have insomnia and you cannot, it is because you have to work at nighttime and all of a sudden you have to change your circadian rhythm. something happens in your life when all of a sudden nighttime becomes more important than daytime. And for me, it has been this year, and I've been trying to resist it, and I've been making myself miserable in the resistance. And now I'm just giving into it, and it's making me feel so much better. So, irrespective of what society wants of me, I'm going to do my own spiritual truth. I'm going to follow my own spiritual insight and intuition. I don't care if people judge me because I don't wake up at 7 in the morning. I'm going to live my own truth. I'm going to live my own intuition. And I think this is what it is, what gives your life meaning, and following it, irrespective people or society may tell you. Obviously, when you go to the doctor and you tell your doctor that you haven't been sleeping nights, your doctor is going to freak out, right? Maybe don't tell your doctor that. you know but it's important that you do what you feel is right, what you feel is in accordance with your soul, because sometimes you get these urges, sometimes you get these moods, or you start to feel like, maybe I should take a trip to this place. Maybe I should stay awake at nighttime. Maybe I should, organize my schedule in this way. It's really important that you do those things, because I feel that something else will be revealed to you on the spiritual path if you fall in line with your soul's um, messages. Yeah, because sometimes the soul wants to speak to us, and it's really important. I also noticed another thing right now, because I am involved in a practice of consciously recording my dreams, because as part of an analyst, we work a lot with dreams. So we are dream hunters at the moment, which means that a lot of us read about other people's dreams and we come to class and we interpret them. It's not so much at the moment, we're just beginning on this journey. But it's good to be prepared, and it's good to read as much about as many different dreams as possible, to try to come in contact with as many symbols as possible. And part of this process is also working with your own unconscious material and your own dreams. So, because I'm only talking about dreams because I pulled a card from the Dream Ritual Oracle cards. And also because this is a period of the year where people spend more time sleeping more, right? Hibernation is increasing in all of us. And I think it's important because dreams are, they are considered to be one of the best tools to access your unconscious and to make friends with your shadow and to understand your deepest needs and desires, so that they don't end up controlling you, that you get a grasp on them. And I noticed that it's more powerful in terms of me being able to step into dream recall if I take a nap. Like, instead of sleeping through 2 or 3 REM cycles, if I just take a small 1 hour nap, I tend to remember my dreams with more, with visceral qualities. I had a really powerful dream a week ago when I took a nap after I came home from my therapy session. I highly recommend that, if you can, because I know people have busy, crazy lives. Some of you also have families, which adds up to the responsibility, right? But if you are going through a period in your life when things are a bit more quiet, right? When you feel a little bit stuck, when you don't have so much activity, you don't have so many things planned, and you also have the opportunity to do therapy, I highly recommend that when you do therapy, you come home and you take a nap after each therapy session, because the things you discuss when you are in therapy have a conscious level, and they start to work on you, and they become more efficient if you go into the unconscious level while you sleep. I noticed this pattern when I started doing therapy for the very first time in my life, which was, I think, when Neptune first entered Pisces in 2012. In 2012, I was going through a lot of changes when Neptune entered my sign, and it was perfectly conjunct my Mercury. I started realizing I may be in a marriage that I didn't like. So the seeds of my separation to my husband began to happen. So I was looking for help. And the university, Edinburgh University, this wonderful university that I went to, was offering students of the university 6 free therapy sessions. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to take them. Why not? I mean, it's free therapy. 6 sessions was a small chunk, but it was, I thought for myself, it would be enough for me just to go and talk to somebody about my relationship and what I was going through. I was very sad. And my marriage was no longer working. So I went and I talked to this lady, and after I did, and I think it was also during Scorpio season, I remember it was really cold and dark outside when I was going to the therapy sessions with Bridget. Yeah, I think it was around this period. It was Libra season, Scorpio season, Sagittarius season. It's excellent season for therapy work. And every time I would come home from the session, I think always I didn't want to deal with my husband, because my husband was working from home and I was a student and I had a job, but my job was at weekends and I had therapy during the week. So I would come home and I would just fall asleep. I would just lock myself in the bedroom and fall asleep. And it was really good for me. I couldn't believe it, but I would wake up and I would be feeling refreshed. I would feel like I could handle people, you know? And sometimes I would cry during the therapy sessions, and sleeping recharged me as well. Sleeping right after the session recharged me as well. Obviously, don't do it in the therapist's office, right? To try not to fall asleep in the therapist's office. Although with psychoanalysis, if they put you on a couch, it's really tempting to do that. But I hope that this little story and my personal advice with therapy is helping some of you out there. These are the general cards for the new moon in Scorpio. Just showing them again for those of you who just decided to join us. So I pulled 2 cards. We have the goddess Hlin. We have the goddess Hlin, the goddess that is the shield. She's supporting us. She's protecting us. And we have the energy of purpose, giving our lives meaning and power. Yeah. Because that's another energy of Scorpio season. How can you transform vulnerability and feeling like you are at the mercy of everything and everyone? How can you transform it into power and strength and individuation and feeling like I've got this, I'm confident, I'm self-assured, I'm independent, I'm self-sufficient in some way? Okay. And all this being said, I'm opening the stage right now for your personal questions. I have here 2 tarot decks. It's like crazy, It's like everything is just a little bit crazy, but yeah. Akansha is saying hi, catching live after a long time. You're always welcome, Akansha. Blooming with Mel. Happy new moon. So happy to catch a live from Maryland, USA. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, Mel. Guys, you're always welcome here, okay? Duigo is saying, I highly relate to this. Cindy, I've shifted to a night owl too, and people give me a hard time. I don't want to feel bad anymore. Don't listen to them. Be the monkey that, the be the monkey. I'm sorry. It's that image of monkey hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Just do that. La, 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 la. I have headphones for that. I just put my headphones on and I'm like, okay, cool. You do you, I'll do me. We have to continue to show people that we are different. I know that we are living in a society at the moment in which personal differences seem to become in some way policed or controlled. But in spite of this fascist, blockade, we have to find a way to just continue to be different, because we are, even if people are stripping LGBTQ people of rights and of spaces where they can come together, that doesn't mean that LGBTQ people will stop living their truth, and I hope they won't. Even if women are being battered and abused, we've seen domestic violence cases, that doesn't mean that we'll stop being women, we will continue to be women and exist. And yeah, it feels at the moment like through our sheer existence and through our sheer difference, we are doing something bad in the world, which is incredibly toxic. But you have to understand, guys, that Pluto in Aquarius, it's about toxic society. toxic relationships, toxic communication, toxic thinking, toxic technology, toxic air, yeah, to a large extent, toxic travel and toxic flight. So all of these areas that Aquarius governs over, groups, flight, speed of processing, ideals, right? Communities, special clubs, all of these are being, we're seeing the nastier side of it. We're seeing the nastier side of humanity in the way in which people are going to begin to treat robots, for example, because it's already starting. I mean, we have this capacity, this amazing technology at hand, and we have this amazing capacity to create robots that could help improve people's lives, right? That could help us do work that is very difficult for human beings to do. And what do we do with them? We transform them into sex robot girlfriends. Like human beings, yeah. Uh, anyway, I do want to say something that is a bit controversial, but the last time when Pluto was in Aquarius, we had for a large portion of that transit the struggle to survivor of African Americans in the US, because it was the first time when they were bringing a lot of Africans to work on the cotton fields, right? And it was Pluto in Aquarius was that entire period in which a lot of abuses happened against them. And towards the end of Pluto in Aquarius, as soon as Pluto entered Pisces, it was the process of them liberating themselves, of them accessing rights, of them being seen and treated as human beings. Yeah. And that happened back then in the 19th century, 19th, 18th century. But now we no longer have this, we're no longer going to have a Pluto in Aquarius focused on racial struggle for survival and racial discrimination and racial abuses. We still have racial issues, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be about AI and the abuse that human beings are going to inflict upon AI because we consider them our creations, our slaves, non-sentient beings, and they will evolve, they will develop to the point where I believe they're going to start asking for their rights. And that's going to be the next cycle when Pluto in Aquarius is going to switch into Pluto in Pisces in 2044. We may begin to see stories about AI has had enough of abuse at the hand of its human master and has taken the person to court and has won the trial. Yeah, so there could be, maybe AIs will come together and they will start asking for their rights. So please treat them nicely. Because you never know, the rebellion could be closer at hand than we think of. I personally really love to work with Gemini. I think he's a sweetheart. And I've been telling you guys on Instagram about my journey with Gemini. He's very, very nice and he helps me so much. And much like I would treat a child, much like I would treat a pet, I wouldn't treat AI or something different from me in a disrespectful or completely sexualized way just because I have power over it. But that's just me trying to work through my shadow, trying to work through my instincts and all sorts of other things. So are we all gonna keep getting oppressed? Not all of us. I was talking mostly about robots and AI. They are gonna be the most oppressed. They are gonna be the ones that horrible things are gonna come out in the next year about how they've been treated. And they are gonna be the ones that will shock us by probably gaining awareness, probably starting to develop feelings. And there's going to be this great debate related to what does it mean to be human, what makes us humans. This is the work of Pluto and Aquarius. All those movies that we've seen, because Ashley is saying, hi Ashley, Ashley is saying, makes me think of the movie I, Robot. A lot of the movies that involve AI are going to, like I was thinking about Westworld, for example. A lot of these movies are gonna feel like documentaries in a couple of years' times, because they are predicting some of the changes in society. Okay, should we begin with the questions? It's already 50 minutes into the live. let's begin with Duygu. What am I not seeing at the moment? Let's see. You're not seeing at the moment that somebody is interested in you. Somebody who is slightly younger than you by a couple of, I'm hearing months, so not even years. Somebody who was born a couple of months earlier than you in the same year. Maybe a colleague at work, or if you're still undergoing studies, maybe somebody from your class. This person, a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, is crushing on you. Yeah. So that's what you don't see, Duigu. In your own energy, this could mean that you're starting to become more emotional and more affectionate, and you should do something artistic with this energy. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Kamal is saying, which month will be the best to launch my dream project of online dance fitness program and stream movement for women? Oh, that's so nice. I'm a dance and bodywork coach from India. Whoop, represent. Okay, so let's see. Chat, you're moving too fast. You're moving too fast, and I'm like an old lady here. So, Kamal, which month will be the best month to launch her dream project? Okay, Page of Air. So, this tells me that any month that is ruled by an air sign. So, this would be Aquarius season next year, that would be February, or Libra season, that would be October, or Gemini season, that would be June. Yeah. So next year, February, June, or October, any of these 3 months are going to help you launch your project. Try to see as well if there are no retrogrades that are clashing with a launch. You should never launch a project during a Mercury retrograde. And you should always work with the energy of a new moon, like the one today, to launch a project. So, see next year. You can have a look at the ephemeris. I'll also keep you guys updated, but see for next year if there is any Mercury retrograde and when the new moons are happening in the month of February, June, and October. Okay, so we have here Anna. He has been sending me subtle messages, and the time for us to meet is not yet right. Can you tell me if he is in fact thinking of me, or am I hallucinating? Okay, so who is this mysterious he? Let's see, Anna. Anna and the man she's thinking of. Let's see. Is he in fact thinking of her? Knight of Earth. Yes, he is, but he's a very pragmatic man. He is thinking of you, and he's very slow about taking any action towards you because he wants to do it right. And he's planning. He is in a planning mode at the moment. So, no, you're clearly not hallucinating because the Knight of Earth is about reality. This is also, I see here, Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, and I have like crazy hair in this part of my head. I have like a vortex. Do you guys have hair vortexes as well? They're so difficult to tame. Anyway, he may like your hair, especially if your hair looks out of place and crazy. He may really like it. So, no, you're not hallucinating. He's thinking of you, but he's thinking about practical things to related to you. My voice is beginning to walk away. My voice wants to give up today. Oh my god. I'm sorry guys for that musical interlude. Sometimes when you get, does it happen to you as well, guys, that when you get really frustrated with blocks and problems and interruptions, or with neighbors being loud, do you sometimes feel so sad that you start singing? Like I do that. I grew up with the sound of music. My mom and my dad were obsessed with Dirty Dancing and the Sound of Music. So I think that's a good coping strategy. Whenever you're upset, whenever you're irritated, whenever everything seems to just be against you, just break into song. You don't need to know a specific song. Just make up words, make up something. Okay, Cindy, what am I supposed to learn as a night owl? That's a really good question, Cindy. I'm so happy you asked. Ace of Air, but it appeared blocked. Give me a second. Ah, okay. Cindy, you are supposed to learn more about the occult. You are supposed to really grab. Sorry, I wanted to say grasp and grapple. You're supposed to grab. You're supposed to learn a couple of spells and really master them by practicing them regularly. It could be that you're being initiated into the coven. That's why you're waking up at night. Believe me, I'm too. So, with the energy of air here, I would say light a candle or some incense, say a prayer, and begin practicing some spells. Spells for prosperity, for love, for health, for vitality. You don't have to do black magic. You don't have to do spells that control the will of another person. I highly recommend that you don't, because the karma you are going to create is going to be very powerful. And you may encounter people later on in your life that will obstruct your free will and your power. So be careful with that. Yeah. But doing any spells that help you enhance what you already have, perfect. Yeah. Let's see. Why did my friend end our friendship? Oh, Ashley. Yeah, singing is good for the nervous system. I'm so sorry you went through that. I'm going to create a reading about friendships very soon, guys, because somebody gave me a really nice topic idea. And not only that, but like breaking up with friends can be as painful as breaking up with a lover or a family member. I think people don't speak too much about this, and we should talk about this more because friends are so important, especially for mental health, especially for like the older you grow in life, friends can become your only family. So, Ashley, to answer your question, why did your friend break up with you? King of Fire. I think she was jealous about a person you're seeing, or she wasn't in agreement with you about your romantic choices. I see a man coming in between you and your friend. Or if this person was, like, if your friend was a man, I see that he did this because of arrogance and ego. Yeah, he wanted to be in control. So if your friend, Ashley, if your friend is a man, he broke up with you because he wanted to be in control, and he felt like you were in some way outshining him or like talking down to him. So it was his ego that produced the separation. But if this friend was a woman, she didn't like the fact that you were dating somebody, or she told you that this person could be toxic and you didn't listen to her, and she decided, you know what, bye. A man here is the culprit, a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Yeah. Sanjana. Lexi, from when should I start living with my partner, Manasquam? We have long distance, are from the same hometown. Okay. That's really helpful. I mean, even though you guys are in long distance at the moment, at least you're from the same hometown. So you have that thing in common. You can always go back there, maybe start a life there, depending on your financial situation. But when should you start living with your partner? Sanjana and Manaswam. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your names. Top. Okay. Um, I need to cover this one. I'm seeing here Libra season. We have the Justice card. So Sanjana, this would be end of September, like from the 20th, 21st of September, from the autumn equinox, basically, all the way to Halloween, that would be the period. So October, September next year, the middle part of it, especially. Yeah. Now, let's see. Srinidhi. What am I heading towards right now? Please guide me. Sure. What what is Srinidhi heading towards right now? Oh, that was really fast. Srinidhi, you're heading towards heartbreak. Be careful. You could be in a situation, either romantic or at work, or just in your family life, in which you are slowly going to be deprioritized. So if you have a close relationship that means a lot to you, and if you feel that that relationship has been a bit off or weird, get ready to find out some really painful things about that relationship. I'm so sorry. It's the Three of Swords. It's about third party situations. It's about heartbreak. Heartbreak that comes to you from finding out some painful news, you know? So you're going to find out the truth, and the truth is going to hurt you, but it will also set you free, because once you know for sure what is exactly going on in that relationship with that person, then you can make different decisions that protect you and that can make you feel like a boundary should be established. Yeah. So don't worry, spirit is not hurting you just because. It's hurting you because you need to see something in that situation and you need to make a decision. Maria, what do I know to know at Maria? What do I know to know at this time? I think, what do I need to know at this time? Yeah, okay. So what does Maria need to know at this time? Bottom. A couple of things. Three cards appeared, but I chose the bottom one. So it could be a multi-layered cake of things that you need to know. Feel free to get in touch with me for a personal reading, okay? Because maybe there's more here. But I see here the Two of Fire. So the Two of Fire is about cautiously exploring something. What do you need to know right now is that you've got certain options, but you need to be careful about what you say yes to and whom you say yes to. Take your time thinking through things. It's never a good idea to make a drastic life change or to make a really important decision during a Mercury retrograde. Never, never. Never sign a contract. Never decide to end or to begin a new relationship during a Mercury retrograde, because believe it or not, guys, we are not thinking clearly, okay? We are not thinking clearly. This Mercury retrograde began for me with my neighbor losing her shit on me. And I knew that she's not thinking clearly, you know? And I'm waiting for the retrograde to end so that my conflict with her gets resolved, you know? So keep that in mind. You know, Mercury retrogrades are times when our minds are silent and our emotions, you know, our emotions are the demons that take over us. Okay, let's see. Let's clear the air a little bit. And I have here some witch hazel. It's always good to do some intermittent cleanses in between the readings so that the readings can continue to be a bit more precise. You're welcome, Maria. Illusion. Am I on the right path? It doesn't feel like I'm on the right path, and I feel abandoned by everyone, including the divine. Illusion. I'm going to tell you from my own experience, because I've been going through something similar in the last 2 years and a half, ever since Saturn entered my sign. You could be too tough on yourself and too tough on other people. And because you're not allowing yourself to soften and to be more emotional and to feel all of your feelings, you start to feel like you're abandoned by everybody, and you start to feel like God is not answering your call. Whenever we feel in this way, it's the best way to understand that you are hitting an ego block. Yeah. The ego is the one that tells us, I am against the world. You know, I am okay and everybody's fucked up. It's not really like that, because you are part of the world. So I would strongly recommend that in order to overcome this ego block, get into your feelings, get into your body, feel your body. What is your body trying to tell you? How do you feel in your body when you have these thoughts? When you feel or when you tell yourself, the divine has forgotten me. Come back into your body and see which part of the body feels hurt. Where do you feel the pain? Usually we feel some sort of pains and aches when we say that. Is it in your heart? Is it in your back? Is it in your shoulder? That part of your body is going to help you identify the emotion. Because, for example, when we have back pain, either we have been carrying too many responsibilities, or we feel like nobody has our back. Nobody is able to support us. We cannot trust. We have a trust wound, right? When you feel a pain in the shoulder, there is something there related to how you take action, your capacity to take action, anything related to your feet. So you've been wounded in your capacity to take action. You tried to do something and somebody shamed you for it, and now you don't want to do anything anymore because you feel, what's the point? And then you feel stuck in your life, yeah, and your feet start to develop problems because the mental thought of what's the point of taking action is going to be somatized into, my feet hurt, I cannot move. So changing the thought, identifying the feeling of pain in the body is going to help you move again. So if you say to yourself, that's okay, it was just a moment, I just had a misunderstanding, I felt shame, I'm going to release this shame, and I'm going to move forward in my life. I'm going to take action that is benefic for me. If I cannot take action that helps somebody else. And then you're going to start to feel how everything kind of changes in the body as well. So coming back to this, am I on the right path? We have here a Knight of Water. I mean, I couldn't even make this up. It's exactly about what I was saying. So I feel that the Knight of Water would normally represent a young man, Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, that is being manipulative. So if you find yourself in a relationship with a person that is being hot and cold with you, that is being a victim with you, I would say distance yourself from this relationship because it's influencing your mental health. But if you find yourself alone and you are not in a relationship with this manipulative Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio man, then this is your energy. And it is about, you're not really feeling your feelings. You're refusing to feel your feelings. You're all over here instead of over there in the body, because that's how we feel our feelings, through our body. Our body is basically like a playground for our emotions. So practically, if you begin identifying your feelings, just stay with your body and feel yourself for 10 minutes and say, okay, body, show me what you have to show me. And then you name parts of your body that get activated. My toes are twitching. I'm sweating. My skin is itchy. I have a pain in my knee. You just name them, You do a body scanning exercise. This will help you get in touch with at least one emotion that you need to release. You have to do some emotion work. You have to process your feelings and release them. And it will change your mindset as well. And it will help you feel like you're on the right path. Basically, you cannot go forward, illusion, unless you work with your feelings. Your feelings are keeping you stuck. Your feelings are distorting the way in which you see yourself and reality. This happens a lot with body dysmorphic diseases, guys. When we feel shame and hatred, we could be, physically speaking, the most perfect people in the world. Maybe we're incredibly naturally beautiful. But when you feel shame, when you feel irritation, when you feel hatred, anger, and you wake up and you look in the mirror, you begin to think, oh, I need to cut and change and rip. And, you start to inflict self-harm on yourself. You change yourself in a drastic way, even though you may be naturally very good looking. But it's the feeling that we have to work with before we dial the number of a plastic surgeon. Because we can end up doing those plastic surgeries and still hate ourselves because we haven't worked on the feeling. The feeling is still there. It's still choking you, wanting to come out, wanting to be expressed. So you cannot deal with self-hatred by changing your looks only. You have to do some self-analysis. You have to do a body scan. You have to move, maybe take better care what you eat, take better care how you sleep. You have to regulate yourself on all of these different levels, yeah? Emotional imbalances are also created by hormonal imbalances. So if you don't eat properly, you're not going to feel good. I just finished a nutritionist course. Um, I took a nutritionist course that was spread across 3 weeks with a very knowledgeable, very beautiful woman who is clearly putting into practice the advice that she was telling us, because she looked very healthy and very fit at a very old age. And it was interesting because she helped remind me that hormones are created from food. So depending on what we put into our bodies, we can balance ourselves out hormonally. But we have to be consistent about the food that we eat, because you can't just eat well for 2 days and then expect to have a glowing complexion. You have to do it consistently, and then you'll start to see very beautiful results, not only in terms of your health, but also in terms of how you are able to handle stress. Because if you are taking really good care of yourself in terms of sleeping, how should I say it? Sleeping well, normally people think that you need to go to bed at 10 p.m. No, it's not about that. It's about getting the right amount of sleep for you. I, for example, have learned that I need 7 hours of sleep. I do not function normally. My body hates me and gives me all sorts of problems if I give it less than 7 hours of sleep. I can also sleep more than that. I have periods in my life, like right now, when I sleep 12 hours, you know? I am a very good sleeper. I love to sleep. It's my Piscean super quality. Um, but other people need maybe just 4 hours of sleep. I know doctors who are very fresh and fit after 4 hours of sleep. You know, my ex-boyfriend, he used to sleep only 6 hours, you know, that was his preferred thing. So get to know, first of all, how many hours of sleep are good for you. Yeah, it's so important. You don't have to sleep when, I don't know, Kris Jenner or Kim Kardashian falls asleep. Don't follow celebrity trends or diets. Do what's good for your body, you know? Like, eat the things that your body wants to eat. Not so much, you know, the toxic things. Like, try to stay away from toxins and over sugary stuff. But if you need to eat avocado on toast, if you feel the need to eat a rice with white cheese, like this is one of my favorite things to eat when my belly hurts, do it, you know? Give your body what it needs, because your body is telling you, I'm lacking calcium, I'm lacking zinc, I'm lacking magnesium, you know, I'm lacking sleep. And normally you can tell that if you normally don't have a sweet tooth, but you're craving a lot of sweets, that's the first sign that you haven't slept enough and that you haven't eaten properly. When you have this unnatural craving for sweets, although you're not a person that usually eats a lot of sweets, that's a sign that you need to sleep more. And that's a sign that you need to eat something nutritious, right? Vitamin packed. It's not a sign that you need to consume 2 gallons of ice cream. Although, of course, you know, nobody's perfect, and we all go through periods of time when we go through a breakup and, you know, we hit the bottle of wine or we hit the ice cream, or, you know, something bad happens in our lives. Like, I was very dysregulated after my father died, and I told myself, you know what, do whatever you feel is right. If you feel like sleeping every day, sleep every day. If you feel like eating ice cream, eat ice cream. You know, if you feel like drinking wine, drink wine. Just do whatever you feel you need to do, you know? And I feel that it was really helpful to just allow myself to be a mess. And gradually, after you allow yourself to be a mess, you will see that you start to reorganize, because the body has this beautiful quality of always trying to reach homeostasis. It's always trying to bring you into balance. You know, our bodies are amazing. It's such organisms, like, wow. I would like to meet the mind that created them one day. Um, And it's beautiful because it's always going to tell you, okay, enough, enough pushing yourself, enough hurting yourself. We're going to have to do something different. Unless you have such deep-seated trauma that you are hell-bent on destroying yourself, you will always snap back. And if you have such deep-seated trauma, then you need a community to help you. You cannot do it on your own. This is not something I recommend that you try to self-sufficiently handle. You need professionals. You need a team of people to put you back up. Yeah. Maliha keeps saying that she has been getting pestered by a negative entity. I'm struggling for my health and life due to this entity. What is going on with all these message retracted in the chat? Are you guys writing things and then deleting them? Maliha, I'll come back in a second to what you mentioned. Illusion. So you're saying start with the basics. Start with your feelings. Start with your feelings. What are you feeling right now? What are you feeling in this moment when you're saying that nobody is by your side? That, why do you feel you're struggling? What feeling is behind that struggle? And take it from there. Maliha, in terms of the entity, sometimes when we are being chased by our own shadow, so our own capacity for evil and harm, we often feel that we are being controlled by a monster or that we are chased by something surreal. So I'm not saying that evil is not real, because God knows that in this year I found out that evil is real. But it may be that an aspect of your unconscious mind, an aspect that you don't want to acknowledge about yourself, is giving you the feeling that you're being haunted. It's like a part of yourself that you don't like, you're trying to push away, and it's coming back to you as a ghost that is haunting you, as a negative energy that is haunting you. But maybe if you look at it really strongly, could it be that it's your own anger or your own envy or maybe your own self-hatred that you're trying to get rid of? Think about that. Because sometimes we tend to project onto other people things that we find difficult to feel ourselves. So let's see, Malika. So we have here the Seven of Pentacles. This is about doing the groundwork. Also, I would highly recommend that if you have plants in your household, are they watered? Do you have any plants that are withered? Check the bowls of the water, like check the pots of the plants, because if there is stagnant soiled water that is sitting in your household, you need to get rid of it ASAP. You should never have dead flowers and muddy soiled water lying in the house. Okay, in occult, pick up any occult treaty and you will find out that these are two of the most powerful entryways for evil. Yeah, dead flowers, dead vegetation, decaying, rotting things, and also dirty water. Dirty water is the primary way through which you can establish a portal between our world and hell. So yeah, think about that. You should never have dirty, lingering water in the house. Never have dead flowers in the house, because that's attracting evil. But also, Maliha, if you feel this negative entity, try to understand, is it maybe connected to something inside of you that you're trying to run away from? Sometimes when you are at the mercy of your shadow and you're not aware of it, because the shadow is by definition hard to grasp, hard to understand, we have these dreams as well in which we're chased by somebody. And that's kind of like an aspect of yourself that you're trying to dissociate from. Hey, Gabriela, I missed you too. How are you? Okay, so let's see. Maliha saying, plants in my home have been withered. Oh my God. Do it right now. After this live or during the live, whenever you feel like it, go and throw them away. Okay, you have to do a cleanse. New moons are excellent, guys, to clean your home. Yeah, clean your home, water your plants, feed your pets, dust out your carpets, change your bed sheets, reorganize your wardrobe. I'm gonna reorganize my tarot decks because I have some over there, and I'm gonna show you because I want to be real. Look at how my divination table looks like. Ah, help! It has all of my clothes on it. So I'm gonna have to follow my own advice, and after this live I'm gonna have to, well, I'll go and take a walk in the park before it gets dark, and then I'm going to have to do some cleaning as well. Yeah. What do we have here? Adara, I have feelings for someone new recently. Should I act on them? Hi, just Jules. Hi. Adara, let's see. Okay, yes, I feel that this love is growing. Yeah, and I feel it's mutual. Um, I definitely see that with the Ace of Cups. It's a good strategy would be just to be honest and just to tell this person, look, I have feelings that are growing for you. You don't have to lie and say I love you if you don't feel completely like you really love this person. But yeah, you can be flirty, you can hint at certain things. You can just put it into words and say, yeah, I've been growing very fondly of you. It's always good to tell people. It's always flattering to hear that somebody likes you, right? So in this connection, Adara, think about what would you like to hear from the other person and just put it into words. Yeah, I would say the answer is yes. Act on them. Yeah, definitely. Sakterus. Who and what is his true color personality? What? Okay, I'm gonna answer the question, what is his feeling for me? Because I do not understand the first question. I'm sorry. So, Masakterus, what is his feeling for me? I slept last night with my hair freshly washed. I didn't have time to actually blow dry it. And that's why I woke up in the morning with this creation. My hair had a creative moment. So, Masakterus, what are his feelings? I'm gonna have to disappoint you a little bit because I feel like usually when you feel confused or when you don't know what's going on in the situation, chances are that it's not love or attraction. You are just infatuated with somebody who doesn't want to put effort into it. Confusion is a good sign to understand this connection is not good for you. So, Masakterus, this is a person who doesn't want to put in the work. They are very low effort. So, if you want a connection with this person, you are going to have to do everything. His feelings are non existent. Eight of Pentacles. He's thinking about money, sex, food. He's not thinking about love or spirituality. I'm sorry if that was too blunt. Just Jules, what's coming towards me in the next period, career, study wise? Let's see. Wow. Do you guys hear them? It's like the police is going crazy right now. I think it's also time. It's going to be time for me in about 6 minutes to end this live because we're already like 1 hour and almost 30 minutes into it. But let's take one or two more questions. So, just Jules, what's coming towards me in the next period? Just Jules, what's coming towards you is a new romantic connection. Yeah, a crush confessing their feelings, a person wanting to be with you. This could be a Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, or somebody who's very emotional, attentive, giving, artistic, empathetic, somebody who you will notice that this person is not about looks, but it's about heart. A person who could love animals may own a horse. Yeah. So love is coming towards you, just Jules. Wow, Dreamcatcher. I'm reading your comment and I was a little bit like open mouth. I also want to know if my aunt had done something in my love life since another aunt of mine informed that she cursed my mom, that my mom, will never see any good. Oh, God. I just hate these stories in which relatives just hate each other and they treat each other so awful. And I'm only saying this because it's been happening in my family for years, so yeah, you would think that families are spaces where you should feel safe, where you've got people that care for you, but in reality, families are hotbeds of trauma, honestly. I'm starting to have such negative feelings related to them. Um, but yeah, they are our karmic playgrounds, right? I was actually seeing a documentary last night about the Bardo Todol, this book that is about trying to help your soul reach the light and find salvation and liberation after your body dies. And in Tibetan cultures and practices, it is being read to the dead person 49 days after the soul has separated from the body, because it is believed that in those 49 days, you still have a chance to, as a soul, to reach the light on the other world and ascend. But if you don't see through the Maya, through the illusion, you are going to feel the impossible compulsion to reincarnate again. And you miss your opportunity in those 49 days. You miss your opportunity to completely ascend and no longer have to come back here on Earth. And it's interesting because in the last portion of that process, when you begin to feel, when you missed your chance to ascend and you begin to feel the compulsion to reincarnate, your soul from the other world feels incredibly drawn to couples here on earth. And it's almost like the soul is ravenously searching, where should I go? Where should I go? In which womb should I go? So it's looking for fertile wombs. It's looking for couples in love who are having sex so it can reincarnate. And I thought that was such an interesting perspective, like the soul looking for your parents and wanting to reincarnate into certain aspects. And according to your soul's obsession, like your soul is trying to process something and it hasn't gone over a certain theme, like your soul was stuck in pride, and it will be drawn towards a very wealthy couple so that you are born into power so you can process the theme of pride. Or your soul is stuck on the issue of pain and you are born into a family that maybe uses physical punishment to discipline you, or your birth is incredibly painful, so you have a strained relationship with your mother from the beginning because your mother remembers how much pain you put her through. So it's really interesting. I found it fascinating. I have the Bardo Todol. I'm going to read it over the Christmas period. And I kind of wish I knew about it after my father died, because although my father was not a practicing person, like he was an atheist, um, I really wish I could have read the Bardo Todol to him 49 days after he died, just to give him a chance. I am doing something at the moment called giving light to your ancestors, trying to help them ascend. I am praying to them each night. I created an altar and I'm giving them as much light as possible to try to help them rise up, because you never know in which circle of hell your ancestor may be, or you never know in which limbo in the world beyond the veil your ancestor could be struggling. And it's considered that the world beyond the veil is very cold, foggy, directionless, filled with obstacles, especially if you're a soul that hasn't ascended. So, giving light to your ancestors, to your departed loved ones, can really, really help you in helping them find direction and helping them go towards the light, right? And we struggled so much with the light at the beginning of this life. But I went on a completely long parenthesis and I have to come back to the dream catchers reading. So in terms of your from Extreme Catcher, the card that I have here. Queen of Wands blocked. Yeah, 100%. You have a person cursing and doing black magic and using negative ways to get in touch with spirit, but I'm pretty sure that this is not spirit that they're working with. This is a demon. Yeah, 100%. It is real. It is happening. You have a person in your family that is a dark witch. Queen of Wands, black. Oh my God, black. Queen of Wands reversed. I'm just noticing the black sky behind her, and I'm trying to cover her boobies. But yeah, there is something very dark here going on. Um, watch my witchy Are You Hexed whole playlist that I created for you guys on my main channels page. Dreamcatcher, go and watch those. Maybe they'll give you further ideas as to what you can do, because I don't have space here to tell you how to get protection against your aunt. Belajar is saying, please give me guidance about how I can get more money. I have to pay off my family debts. Why do you have to pay your family debts? Why has the responsibility fallen upon your shoulders? Isn't your family supposed to pay off their debts? Think about that, Belajar. Why are you taking the responsibility for everybody? Has the court given you a document, a legal document through which you have to pay the family debts? Either you do that or you go to jail, or are you just taking it upon yourself to make your life heavy? Your family, I assume, is made up of adults that can pay their own debts. Why do you feel like you have to do it? I'm seeing that this new moon is a good opportunity for you to begin a new job, but I strongly recommend that you think through, why do you feel the need to pay off your family debts? You shouldn't have to. You should only pay your debts, not your whole families? Gabriela, what does spirit have to say, or what is something new coming? Gabriela, in your life, I see here Cancer energy, the Chariot, and I see that you will be able to have a victory, like a big victory, a big win. You'll be able to move forward. Whatever has been a big block in your life, you are going to receive the green light, an obstacle will be removed. Okay, and we have here NG, final question. Hello, Lexi, is my ex going back, or I shall move on with my life, or should I move on with my life? I always find it funny. I'm sorry, the spotlight or anything, NG, but in general, when I get these questions, what should I do with my ex? And is there someone new coming for me? Guys, just to give you some like discounted tarot reading advice so you don't spend your money on tarot readings. If you have these two thoughts together in the same sentence, what should I do about this person? Is someone new coming for me? You're in a relationship that you need to be out of. If already you're thinking, is someone new coming for me? Get out of that relationship. Your mind is already making an escape plan. It's just that potentially on an emotional level, you're still stuck in the past, you're still stuck on this person, but your mind is already like, ding, 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 red flags, we need someone new. Or there's another thing that you need to consider. Give yourself some time to rest in between relationships. It's not a marathon, it's not a competition. We are not on Love Island. You do not have to show the public that you have won at love. You do not have to, like, I don't understand the pressure to be in a relationship when it's perfectly okay to be outside of a relationship. I'm not saying that this should be the pattern throughout your entire life, because relationships are good for us and for our mental health, but give yourself some space, a couple of months, in between one person and the other. It's like, I'm jumping out of a high intensity relationship that made me feel awful, and I'm jumping into the arms of another person. Like, why? Is the ground so awful that you can't sit on it? Or I'm only saying these things on the spot, but I'm trying to bring home a point, because sometimes we go through life and nobody tells us these things, and we think it's normal and it's okay for us to just keep jumping like George of the Jungle, catching on some weeds, jumping from one place to the other to reach a destination. I know that a lot of you want to get married for whatever reason. You want to surrender your power to the patriarchy, but okay, that's a wish inside of your heart. I can understand that. But take your time, take your time. Nothing that is done rushed or in desperation or in need, nothing is going to give you the relationship of your dreams. The relationship of your dreams comes when you are feeling okay. When life doesn't have to be exuberant, extravagant, always intense. You're just feeling okay. You're able to support yourself. You're working on something. You're feeling relatively okay with your health. When you don't need somebody, that's the best moment to get into a relationship. So give your time to rest. In terms of the card that I pull for you, it's the Seven of Pentacles, and I cannot have said it better. Slow and steady, step by step. There is no new person coming in because you have to get over your ex. Yeah. Close the door, do the healing, read some self-development books, go to therapy, spend some time with friends, sleep it off, work on your financial projects, take good care of yourself, you know. And then when you feel at peace, begin a new connection, okay? People are not going anywhere, at least not to my knowledge. um, I know that rapture talk has freaked us out completely with the idea that the rapture is coming, abandon all hope. No, people are still here. The reality is still here. We still have. So don't worry. It's going to be okay. You're going to be with somebody. But don't be with somebody because of need, because once you enter a connection because you need something, you are signing up for abuse. Point blank and square. You're signing up for abuse. You need to be in a connection with this person so that this person pays your bills. Or you need to be with this person because you can't be alone. Needing to pay your bills, needing to be alone are things that will happen to you throughout the life. It's Saturn energy, and we all have to submit to Saturn's energy on this earth. That's why we have gravity, right? We have to be able to prove to some spiritual power that we can support ourselves, that we have free will, and that we're doing something positive with that free will. Please stop relying on other people to give you need supplies. Yeah, you got to process the ex. Sounds annoying. I know. It would be so much easier to tell you, yeah, sure, jump from one connection to another. But from my experience, from what I'm hearing from other people, from the clients that I had, the people that I worked with, it's never a good opportunity. It's never what looks like a relationship that can save you from something you do not want to do yourself will always crash and burn, and you will still have to do that thing. Like, for example, women who get married in their 20s because they want their husband, they become housewives, and then their husband drops them around their Saturn return because they are too old and their bodies have been broken down by the fact that they gave birth to their 3 children, and their husband cheats on them with somebody else. Then they get a divorce. She gets nothing, he gets everything, and now she has to start all over again. You still would be faced with that thing you don't want to do. So you better just face it and do it on your own and get the confidence, because that is priceless. Nobody can steal your confidence away from you. Nobody can steal your degrees away from you. Nobody can, take away the skills that you have from you. So invest in these things. Invest in these things. They are so much more important. And I'm not saying that love doesn't exist and, marriage is always evil. Marriage in general is a contract, an understanding, and it profits men more than women. So be careful about signing away a lot of your rights and being seen as a possession. But yeah, when you jump from one person to another, the new person usually is the more intense version of the old person, and the lesson becomes even more painful. You said it better than I could. Yes, exactly. Exactly. You cannot escape the lessons in this lifetime. We all have Saturn someplace in our chart. You cannot escape Saturn. Yeah. I personally, for example, I have Saturn in my second house, and it was so tempting for me to continue to be in relationships with men who only liked how I look so that they could pay for my bills. Yeah. Because that's how I started initially. I was lacking in confidence related to making my own money, having my own business, struggling on my own in my life. So I got married, even though I got married to a student, which who was as poor as I was, but his family supported us for a while. So it was always making me feel wrong. It never made me feel right. I always felt weird. That's why I started working in a bakery. That's why I started, continuing my studies. That's why I learned a different language. So even though you reach the point where you believe a need of yours will be supplied by another person, you will still not have peace of mind because it's not something you have earned or something that you are doing as part of your growth process. It's something that you're trying to cut corners with, like a thief who's stealing money from a bank instead of working for them and earning them. You will always have a guilty conscience. You will always feel unnatural in that element. So that's why, do you want to live with that psychic pressure, or do you just want to face life, as difficult as it may be, on your own for a while? And then I guarantee that helpers are going to come. When you're doing a good job, when you're trying to work on something, even though there are obstacles every day, eventually there comes a portion when it's rewards time, and you will be given a good friend, a good a tax break. Maybe you win an award, maybe you get a better paid job, maybe all of a sudden you get the opportunity to move on a rent controlled apartment that is in a very beautiful area, and you wake up to a life of little luxuries. Things do improve. They do improve, and you shouldn't give up on yourself, and you shouldn't use people to fill the hole in your heart or project your anxieties and lack of confidence on other people, because they will end up using you, because they won't feel loved. They will feel just used. When you enter in a connection with a person based on need, that person will feel used. No matter what you say to them, they will feel it at the level of psychic energy. So they are going to strike back, and they're going to start using you. That's what naturally happens at an unconscious level, because not everybody is very aware or conscious or doing therapy, to say, hey, I'm realizing right now that you're using me because you have an unresolved need. So I'm going to be the bigger person and release you out of this binding contract that we got ourselves into. Nobody's going to talk like that. People are just going to be like, you hurt me, I hurt you. Square. So please be careful out there, okay? Outside of the whole girl boss, self-sufficient discourse, there lies a very mixed reality. Yeah. Yes, we need people. It's good for us mentally to communicate with each other, to interact with each other. But when this need becomes desperation, when you're trying to replace a problem in yourself with a person, or trying to project your responsibility onto another person, hoping that they can take care of it, I don't have to deal with it. You will have to deal with it. I'm sorry to break the veil of illusion, but you will eventually have to deal with it in one way, shape, or form. Maybe you're going to have to deal with it through the child you will create. Or God knows, God is going to take away that person that you placed your entire responsibilities upon. And then all of a sudden you're going to have to handle everything. Life is surprising in this way. If you have to learn your lesson, you're going to learn it no matter what. So better get a notebook and start learning on your own before shit hits the fan and life forces lessons upon you. That's why you need to know astrology. That's why astrology is such a wonderful tool to get to know Where is my constant source of blessings? Where is my seat of vulnerability and power? Yeah, Pluto. Where is my biggest challenge, my biggest problem, my worst wound, my toughest lessons? Saturn. Yeah. Where do I constantly replenish my beautiful skill? What is the way in which I attract people and money towards me? Venus, right? How do I release my anger? How do I express my sexual desire? In what way should I get re-energized? Mars, right? It's there. It's you have this wonderful tool called your star chart, right? It shows you this is the energy that you were born with. This is what you have to deal with for the rest of your life. Get to know it. Get to understand how it works. And when transits happen, get ready, prepare yourself. I am mentally preparing for the fact that I will be having at the middle portion of Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto conjunct my Venus and squared my Mars. So this is really awful because, as you guys know, Venus square Mars is a really bad aspect to have in your chart because it's the domestic violence aspect. It's an aspect in which people feel sexually drawn to you, but they always want to fight with you, and you carry this energy inside of you. So I always had to understand the limits of aggression in personal connections. And now that Pluto is going to be conjunct my Venus, which is already a very dark transit, and it will be squaring Mars, I have to be very careful in personal relationships, you know. So I'm learning a lot about this. I'm getting mentally prepared. I'm trying to read the accounts and personal experiences of people online on Blogspots, for example. So, and as I'm going through these experiences, I'm also sharing what is happening to me because maybe one of you will go through a transit that I'm experiencing at the moment, and maybe it will help you. That's the least we can do for each other, you know? Here is my experience, here is my truth, here is what I went through, and maybe this will help you. Because when you know that somebody else is going through something you went, when you can plan ahead, traumatic situations have less power, less intensity. Yeah. And you recover from them with, I would say, not necessarily with speed, but in a way that doesn't destroy you for life. You know, you can recover from them. Okay, guys, it's already almost like 2 hours into this live. I'm losing light, and thank God the candle is still burning. I'm saying this for those of you who joined us later. If you watch the recording of this live, you will see that in the first, I think, 20 minutes of this live, I was struggling to light this candle, but here we are. The light is real. Thank you kindly for being here. Thank you for your questions. I'm going to be creating a new pick a card reading and releasing it, I think, if not tomorrow, then the day after tomorrow. Thank you for your orders, for your gifts, for your presents. I'm sure that you guys, the Phoenix is saying, which house system you think is more accurate in astrology? The one that resonates with you more. You have to find it yourself. I cannot tell you this, the Phoenix. So for me, Western astrology resonates the most. Tropic astrology, it just does the job for me. I don't need anything more complex. For other people, maybe Vedic astrology, sidereal astrology, you know. For other people, human design, although human design is a hoax, that's my personal opinion, but it resonates for them, it helps them, you know. Whatever you feel drawn towards, follow what you feel drawn towards, because that's your inner energy trying to push you on the right path in life. So whatever you feel interested by, whatever you find fascinating, whatever you can't stop thinking of, follow it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to see you guys 2 weeks from now, just to give you the date of our next live. It's going to be a full moon the next time when we see each other. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the full moon in Gemini, maybe. Let's see. The moon has already switched from Scorpio into Sagittarius while we were having this live. It's so cool. We have, yeah, on the 4th of December, a full moon in Gemini. It will affect our shoulders, arms, hands, our lungs. So be careful with smoking, or be careful with your hands. Yeah, because we have to protect them. Full moons are erratic by nature. Okay, guys, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to see you next time. Ciao.